Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Derek Chisora, Otto Wallin, it's fight week, so let's talk about it. This fight, the one that they're dubbing The Last Dance, and this is in honour of Derek Chisora's last fight in the United Kingdom, which is taking place in Manchester. 48 fights deep, and this will be number 49, and he's looking for a win and then to cap it off with a big 50th and final fight. Well, that's the indicative plan. Obviously, Otto Wallin will have goals of spoiling the party. And he does have a good shot. Remembering, this is not a style matchup necessarily that really favours Derek Chisora, and it was, when it was announced, and I made a comment at the time, bit of a curious matchup to make. I mean, it had been, for all money, going to be Chisora versus Gerald Millett. And that would have been absolute fireworks, and I think styles that would have meshed well. They would have just been throwing lots of punches, would have been in close, and given what we've seen from both of them recently, two relatively in-form fighters really duking it out. This one here I think is going to be quite different, because Otto Wallin will not stand and trade with Derek Chisora for any prolonged period of time. I think what we're going to get is the version of Otto Wallin that fought Murat Gassiev. So box, move, pick his pocket, try to land some notable shots at different times if he can, and really look to play high percentage, low risk heavyweight boxing. And that really has been his calling card throughout his career. So I don't see that sort of really changing. But I guess there is some risk with this one, because you've got Otto Wallin recently coming, or he has a tune-up win after his loss to Anthony Joshua, but that was a pretty devastating loss. He was dominated by Joshua, never in that fight. And I think against a guy where he's got a height and a reach advantage and a mobility advantage, because Derek Chisora often can look like he's stuck in the mud walking around the ring, and he'll probably be following him, not necessarily cutting the ring off. That kind of is the bread and butter sort of opponent that's tailor-made for Otto Wallin. But what we've seen is a Wallin who was beaten badly by Joshua, who might be down on a bit of confidence. And another thing that we've seen in some recent fights by Otto Wallin, a little bit in the Murat Gassiev fight and also some earlier ones, he does tire. You know, if there are rounds, you know, later in the fight from about round 9 onwards, where Otto Wallin starts to look a little bit more hittable, a little bit more vulnerable as he slows down. But I think what we're going to get from the outset is typical Derek Chisora. He'll be looking to come forward, he'll be looking to land his shots, apply pressure, and he'll have those 2 or 3 rounds where he's looking relatively fresh, flick the switch, and then all of a sudden he looks absolutely gassed, and he'll be fighting tired, winging away, just like he was against Joe Joyce. And that is his last fight. That was what put Derek Chisora into a main event in 2025. Remembering, this guy turned over all the way back in 2005, it says here. I mean, he's been pro for a very, very long time. So Derek Chisora, big win over Joe Joyce, a style matchup that favoured him. The style of this fight is not necessarily going to be one that's going to gel super well for an action-packed encounter. I think Chisora will be looking to bring the war, he'll be looking to bring the pain, he'll be looking to hurt Otto Wallin, while the taller, longer Wallin, who boxes and moves well, if he's really put in some good road work and he's had a good camp, I think he will be skirting around the ring, playing it safely, and really trying just to rack up the rounds. But one of the things I guess he does have to be careful about is it's not home turf. And Derek Chisora, I thought that fight against Kubrat Pulev, it was tight. I thought Pulev maybe just nicked it, but it went Chisora's way. So if this is in any way close, perhaps the hometown fighter will get it. Perhaps the emotions and the sentiment will influence the judges. There's all sorts of factors that can influence the judges. So Wallin's really going to have to be racking up the rounds. He can't hope to have a 7-5 type of decision and expect to get the decision naturally, because who knows? it's boxing after all. Funny things go on. But that fight against Murat Gassiev and the style that he employed, which he's been successful, for a decent chunk of his career, that's what I expect to see. And we did see in that fight the odd occasion where he would step in and try to hurt Gassiev, and he did have some moments of success in that regard. But Wallin is not a big puncher. Derek Chisora, I don't think, is going to be too worried about what Wallin is throwing. It's just whether he can really avoid, the jabs. He'll be getting popped in his face by the moving Wallin. There will be some frustration from Chisora, who I'm sure will be calling Wallin on at times to fight him, stand and trade a bit. But that's not Wallin's wheelhouse. Not a big puncher. He doesn't want to get involved in a dust-up that the only winner would be Chisora, because that's his sort of fight. He would love for that to happen, but I just don't see it happening. And Chisora, he'll be hoping for, obviously, like the Joyce fight, to be landing something potentially big that could end the night, early or late. I don't think he will care. But if it's a tight fight, I think Derek Chisora is going to get the decision. But I guess styles make fights. And this is why it was so curious that this fight with Otto Wallin got made, because it was always a little bit odd that a boxer mover against a guy who can't really cut off the ring, and probably is going to be gassed after about 3 rounds, it would seemingly not favor him, and he's the A side, he's the hometown fighter. But obviously they were locking in a date, and the Miller fight fell over, so Wallin was drafted in. Good money for him, and let's face it, after a poor performance against Anthony Joshua, Otto Wallin needs this fight. He needs a good performance. He needs a good win. That 1 round of action, or less than a round of action, against Honoreme Ehrami, his tune-up comeback, basically the first punch that he threw with any real anger, hurt Ehrami, and it was all over basically after that. So he can't really sort of take too much there. But, and remember as well, that Joshua fight was back in the end of 2023. So you haven't had Wallin having a lot of competitive rounds recently. So hopefully he's had a good camp. He will need to be in tip-top shape, and obviously if he's going to employ that box and move strategy, which I expect he will, he's going to need to basically have his legs under him. And if he does tire, and I expect he will, I think Derek Chisora certainly is in this one. I mean, I want to say that I think Chisora is going to win this one, but I think after watching that Gassiev fight, that Wallin played it safe and boxed well and racked up a lot of rounds, that's the sort of performance I expect. But he's not invulnerable, especially later when he tires and looks more hittable. And that could be money time for Chisora if that happens. I expect something's going to happen at some point in the second half of the fight. But I think this goes rounds. I don't think this is ending early. And Wallin will be trying to take this opportunity with both hands. Because if he wins against Derek Chisora, he's back in a big fight next time out. Potentially one in Saudi. Derek Chisora, who knows if he gets a stunning knockout early, or just wins in general, perhaps there's a huge payday waiting for him next against a ranked contender. Who knows what could be next? We'll just really have to see. But it's a good fight. I like it. I just want to say, for nostalgia's sake, that I hope Derek Chisora, and I think he's going to win. But that nagging doubt of having that Gassiev fight and the performance Wallin put in, I think you have to edge it to him, but I'm hoping Chisora wins this one. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.